Well, hi everyone. Well, big welcome back to the channel. Well, it's been a while. In fact, it's been 6 months since we put out our last YouTube video. And in this video, we're going to explain why we went on radio silence, a little bit about socials and money, and our plans for 2026.
The reality was we were absolutely exhausted with lots of different things, and we decided to take a couple of months away from YouTube and social media in general. Um, we'll explain the reasons why for that in a moment, but before we move on to that, we both want to say a huge thank you to all of you who reached out, who contacted us, who said, "Where are you? We're really missing you." We really, really appreciated that. And I think what it did make us realize that one of the best things we've gained from YouTube is a community of people, like minded people.
Yeah, it was actually quite genuine as well.
Mm,
Direct messages, people saying, "Look, are you okay?" And we really appreciated that. So, yeah, thank you.
yeah.
So we started the YouTube channel to really capture our adventures, our activities, and we'd been living in vans for a couple of years, traveling Europe, really enjoying what we were doing.
We already had the website, so we were used to producing content, just not filmed content.
Yeah, and suddenly, I think what happened was very quickly. Actually, we were going to cross to the Caucasus. It was incredible. We thought it was
We
incredible,
did.
and it was a bit of a journey. The whole thing was a journey. The whole learning YouTube, how to edit, how to do everything, and it just became over time an exercise of living life through the lens of a camera.
It took over our lives, really, didn't it? Everything we did was about YouTube. We didn't go places because of YouTube, but what happened was when we went to places, YouTube stopped us from maybe experiencing those places to their fullest.
I mean, for me, it just became about everything was in the week was geared towards 6 o'clock on a Sunday evening. I had to get that video out at 6 o'clock every Sunday without fail, no matter
And
what.
you were
So
really adamant, weren't you? A couple of times I said, "Look, let's not do a video this week," but you said, "No, I'm committed. I'm putting a video out," and it did just take over our lives, really.
yeah, I mean, I love to hike. I love to, go somewhere and go, right, I'm going up the mountain, or we're going to do some form of activity. And it got to the point, ironically, where the very thing that we're trying to showcase, YouTube is actually curtailing my fun.
Yes,
And I was unable to go for that hike because if I wanted the video out on the Sunday evening, I had to put the time in
yes.
behind the screen.
I mean, to produce a video that's maybe 20 minutes long, you have to have how many hours of footage?
Usually about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah,
But I think,
of good footage, but then you've got all the other stuff that you film that you don't use.
yeah, but I think what happens is that you go out there quite naively and you sort of think, oh, yeah, that's all right, that's okay. And to try and put a travel video together, and that's what we're doing because you're going out, it's completely
Mm,
unscripted. You don't know where you're going, what you're going to come up against. And what tends to happen is your immediate action over time is just to lift the camera.
mm,
If you think something's going to happen, because you want to try and capture that on the camera, because you always want good footage.
yeah.
And quite often I get really frustrated because, oh God, that was really good. Especially with Izzy when we're driving off road, the best content that we've ever had, we haven't actually got because I give Izzy the camera because she's shouting at me because we're traversing this really dodgy bit of off road, and we've never captured any of that because, well,
Yeah, needless to.
for the sake of our marriage.
So we had 3 years of doing that, and then we built the truck. You all know the stresses and strains that brought, but we
Oh,
committed to filming that as
I
well.
want to say at this point, yes, of course, it's all self-induced. You
Yes.
know, we did it. I think, oh, that'd be really good. We've got our website and that's really well established and doing really well. I thought that, YouTube would really sort of enhance what we're putting out there.
Mm,
Um, how naive was I?
maybe, but we tried.
We did.
And I think that trying to film the truck build was just the straw that broke the camel's back, really. I mean, trying to build a truck in a year is ambitious. Trying to build it and film it as one or two people is impossible, really. And we know that we fell off at the end. Um,
I think what happened was it wasn't just a 12-month build. We set ourselves a challenge to build a truck in 12 months for £100,000. We always knew £100,000 was going to be a massive stretch. And obviously it was. We spent 150, so massively over budget. But we did come out with something what we feel is quite special.
hmm,
But it wasn't just a 12-month build. There was 6 months before that where we had to acquire the
planning.
vehicle and we had to design the vehicle, and that took an enormous amount of
Mm.
effort. And then once the truck was built, we obviously had to. I always said we're going to Morocco and we'll test it. There's no better place. Um, and of course we did. We took 4 months, three of which were in Morocco, and that was incredible. The truck performed superbly. We were so
Good.
pleased with it, and it was a pleasure really. And then what happened was, for a little while, well, we were tired.
We were very
We
tired.
were absolutely exhausted.
We got back to the house in Spain that we've had for a long time, but we haven't spent very much time here because we've been on the road. And we thought, oh, it'd be lovely to share the house with people. But I think people watch us because we travel, not because we live in an off-grid house. And so I think after doing sort of 3 or 4
Yeah.
videos, we decided that we didn't want to continue doing that. And then I think we had just lost our mojo at that point. We were so tired. We
Yeah,
just wanted to just stop, really.
I think what actually happened was it 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 catches up. This
It
sort of thing
does.
catches up. It has a way of sort of telling you physically and
Yeah.
mentally, look, enough's enough. And it was something that a month's sleep wasn't ever going to fix. It we were the depth of tiredness, especially on my part. Near the end of the truck build, I was making really stupid mistakes, and I just couldn't function. I was burnt out, and I
Mm,
can look back now and think I was, a really good sort of clinical case of
mm.
being burnt out, and I couldn't think.
So we decided to take a couple of
Yeah.
months away, but I think the first couple of weeks were really odd. We were a bit panicky that we weren't filming anything. So when we decided to come back, how would that work? And then I think as we settled into that, and we had lots of visitors last summer as well, which was lovely. We realised that we didn't feel compelled to go back to it. And I think the other side of that compulsion, that desire to do it, for us, some of it was about income. And I know, I see lots of commentary online about YouTubers and trying to make money, but ultimately, if you live a lifestyle like we do, you need to make money somehow. And YouTube is one of those ways of making money. And we don't think there's anything wrong with that. But for us, it just never quite clicked into place.
The other thing is you can make a huge
You
amount of
can.
money. There are people out there making vast amounts of money on YouTube, and good luck to them. It's brilliant. I think we're maybe too old and too fat, and maybe
Maybe not exciting
and
enough.
maybe we're in a very small niche. If
Yeah.
you look at anybody who's pushing out overland content,
Yeah.
especially travel content, um,
And we could feel ourselves going down this
it's
sort
quite
of
small.
this route that we didn't want to go down, this route of heavily sponsored videos,
Yeah,
power pack after power pack, or whatever it is they want you to showcase for them,
yeah,
clickbaity sort of titles. And we always said we wanted to keep it real. And I think we felt like to keep making any sort of decent amount of money, we were going to have to veer down a route that we didn't really want to go down.
yeah.
So we made the decision to not make a permanent stop, but to not film anymore in 2025.
And we've been offered items, if you like,
Oh, so many.
power packs and I mean
E-bikes.
all sorts of stuff, over the years, uh, and I didn't really want to go down that route. Um, Maybe I should have done, but I didn't want to do that. I want to try and keep the viewer experience pretty good,
Yeah.
as good as it could be. Um, so anyway,
However,
yeah,
we're now in 2026. We're in Spain now, although it is absolutely
it's the
freezing.
it's the coldest it's ever
It's
been
the
here.
coldest winter for 40 years
Yeah,
here.
yeah. So today, it's 10:30 in the morning right now. It's 0 degrees. It's actually
It's
0 degrees. There's
properly
still a
cold.
bit of frost on the ground.
Yeah.
It's so cold. Beautiful blue sky, and it is glorious.
But I
So
think
yeah,
we've
it's
come
cold.
out the other side of all those sort of big questions and how we want to move forward. And I think moving forward with YouTube, we will put video out, but it will be with intention. It won't necessarily be every week, and it will only be when we're traveling.
Yeah. So, well, 2026. What's our plans?
Well, perhaps we should talk a little bit about how we travel now. We're not going to be full time anymore. We haven't been full time really for a year now. We're sort of developing a hybrid model. Um, that's mostly down to me. I said to Phil, I don't want full time anymore. I've lost the maybe I've got a bit of travel fatigue. I don't know, but I miss the excitement of planning a trip, and I miss the being static
It's hard work.
occasionally.
Full
It
time
is hard
travel
work,
is hard work,
and
and we meet people who full time all the time, and
kudos.
and we always sort of have a little conversation about it and say, people always say, I'd love to do what you do. And, yeah, it is. And we're very privileged and it's great and we do love it. But yeah, you're always looking for water, looking for somebody to stop. And
Yeah,
after a while, certainly after years of being on the road, it can become a bit
yeah.
tiring. I don't mean to sound ungrateful in any way, because I would still full time. It's Izzy really that
Mm,
you've just
it's
lost
all
that
my
sort of.
fault.
Yeah, we're not
So
in a blame
so
culture.
so
Yeah.
going forward, so certainly for the next 2 or 3 years, we'll be splitting our time between the truck, and we've got a couple of really great trips planned, which we'll share in a moment. The house in Spain, um, family back in the UK. Our parents are getting older. My son's running his own business and needs a bit of support. Um, and
So we've got three kids, here. One's currently in Australia. One's started up a business, and my daughter is almost qualified as a veterinary nurse, and so it's all sort of happening in the background with aging parents. So there is a juggle, when you're
there
when
is,
you're away for
mm,
long periods. Not just in the van life, but of course, we
yeah,
could live in Australia, and
we
you'd
could,
you'd have the same
yeah.
dilemma, if you like.
But you're also going to try and squeeze in a few bike trips as well. I've got a cruise planned next year, a girly cruise with my mum and sister. So there's lots of good stuff coming up, and we will share as much of that as we can. Um, but what about plans for? What about? Do you want to share what we're doing
Yeah,
travel wise?
yeah. So we're currently at our little house in Spain. And we spent a couple of months here. The truck is actually back in the UK with the bike, and we've done that because we want to. We've got to go back out to the UK because Izzy's doing the cruise, and we, in short, we want to leave the UK at the latest opportunity, if you like, latest point, with a fresh MOT, because we obviously want 12 months of travel from the point of leaving, and we'll then come back to Spain, back to the house.
We might take a slow meander down through France.
Yeah,
I think you've got a couple of bike things
I'm
planned.
doing a little bit of biking this year with my brother, which I'm really looking forward to. And in September, we will leave here in the truck. We'll drive basically into Morocco, and then we'll head south and hopefully get down to the Ivory Coast. That's the plan. We'll take 6 months to do that.
Every time we talk about it, we're getting a country further along.
I've got to push Izzy now and again a little bit. Um, so yeah, the plan really is to, I say 6 months, that's sort of 6 months there and come back up
And really,
again.
September's the optimum time
So kind
because
of,
you want to hit it in the dry season.
so probably sort of 4 months down and 2 months back thereabouts. And then we'll sort of go back to UK. By then we'll need another MOT
Yeah.
and time to catch up with family again. And and then thereafter we'll catch up with family, and then I think we might actually
Spend some time in Ireland.
do an Ireland tour.
Yeah.
It's just fabulous, and every time I go home, it's beautiful. If you haven't been, it's just quite special.
It is.
The timing would work as well, so we
Yeah.
sort of get the spring and the summer and the autumn, uh, and then I think thereafter we'll probably come back again to our little house here in Spain. And 2028, we really want to go and do the
Tentatively
stands.
thinking about the
Yeah,
stands. Yeah.
but that's a big trip. We're probably talking 18 months, and how that looks. We know the route we want to do. We know we've researched it. We've done a lot of homework on this because we're meant to have done it by now. So, and really, the dream for me is to do the Pamir Highway and get us sort of as far across to the east as we possibly can. So
Yeah. And that's a really
that's
exciting
it.
trip.
That's a very loose plan.
For me. That's my dream trip. That's the one I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah,
And we will, of course, we'll video all of that.
yeah.
But it won't be a video every week. I just think just that demand is just too much, and you end up just making rubbish, don't you? Really, for the sake of making video.
Sometimes if the content's good, you're like, yeah, that's good. I'm really so pleased to push that out. But some weeks, it nothing much happens, and sometimes I can as a kind of video editor, I can watch people's content now and think, are you just bulking that out?
Yeah.
But yeah, so
So
that's
that's
pretty much
yeah.
it.
But if you want to know what we're up to, if you want to see us outside of YouTube, you can find us on Facebook. Just look for the Gapticators.
I also want to say we've got a website. If you're into van life, you're into trucks, you're into any of that, check out our website. There is a wealth of information on there.
There's
It's free.
loads of motorhome specific stuff, country touring guides. We
Road
also do a lot of
trips.
stuff about nomadic life, where to go for the best experiences, how to get digital nomad visas, all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of information there. You can also join our mailing list, where we share new posts on a regular basis. We don't spam, and we don't we don't send out an email every day. It's every couple of weeks maximum. And we're on Instagram too. So there's lots of places you can find us outside of YouTube.
Right. That is enough waffle. Guys, I just want to say thank you so much for hanging in there,
Yeah,
and thank you for all the support. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up,
drop us a comment. We'd love to hear what you're up to.
and hopefully we will see you in the not too distant future.
Yeah.
Bye
And
for now.
happy 2026.
Of course. Bye.
Bye.